All right, everyone, we're going to do a live update here on the severe thunderstorm watch in the severe storm that we have in the area coming up here shortly. I'm going to let a few more folks jump on here, and then we'll get started on the coverage. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and walk you through where we stand right now, and the one severe thunderstorm that we do have that is in progress. So first of all, you can see here that is our severe thunderstorm watch that we have for our entire area until 8 o'clock. It also includes the Houston area, a little bit of the Austin area, and down to Laredo is in this watch until 8 o'clock. And so that does not guarantee that you'll see a severe storm, understand, but it's simply putting everyone on notice that conditions are there. You can't be ruled out for seeing a severe thunderstorm through the rest of this afternoon until 8 o'clock this evening here. So the watch, primarily, that is large hail and damaging winds to 60 miles an hour. Those are the two hazards. You'll notice in Bexar County, we actually have a warning that is in progress right now. So let's jump in there and talk about this one thunderstorm here. There you see it. It is a slow mover. I'll set this in motion here for you. You see how it is moving slowly to the northeast. It is a supercell storm. It's not a particularly powerful supercell storm at this point. So we want to watch it to see if it does strengthen a bit more, because these are the type of storms that are capable of throwing out those reports of, ping pong golf ball size hail or larger. Right now, it's about 1-inch diameter hail that we have here on this particular storm in east southeast Bexar County here. And let me just do a check just to make sure it hasn't changed. Yeah, we're still looking at quarter size hail on it. So let's zoom in there and show you some of the. Let me put it in live radar mode here and get right in there on it. Now, the core of that storm, the updraft, you can see it's right back here near Calaveras Lake to Elmendorf. That is the engine driving the storm as you cross 181 right there. So that's where you get the rotating updraft, not tornadic, but it's able to engineer and develop the hail core on it, which extends in this general zone right in here. And then up here, what you see, this sort of V fan shape here, that tells me that's the upper level wind flow sort of exhausting and venting the storm. So you can see it's, as the updraft towers up, the upper level winds, there you go, you sort of fan it out. So it's definitely in a healthy environment. And that is one of the telltale signs that we have pretty good wind shear in the atmosphere to develop these supercells with adequate instability, which we now have. And of course, we've been seeing some breaks of some sun now mixing in, and we have a frontal boundary that is slowly sagging south. And that is what's sparking this activity. This is a 2-hour radar loop. And you can see that right now, this little zone right in here, and also some of our eastern zone right in here, sort of the favored initiation point at this point with this boundary that's sort of sagging slowly in. Also, I'll tell you, we're going to keep an eye out here too. Some of this, those cumulus clouds you see out there in the Edwards Plateau and back across the Rio Grande, one little thunderstorm there. This is an area that will have to be watched as well here in the next, 1 to 2 hours. And then into this evening as well. But right now, the boundary is sort of like arcing like right in here. And you see how it's firing off the storms right into parts of east out of our area towards the Houston area. I do want to point out, too, that these storms here going up in Gonzales-Lavaca County, they, too, will have to be monitored for severe potential here within the next 15, 30 minutes or so, especially that one in Gonzales County. Let's show you the hail tracker product. And here you can see at times it has thrown out at least quarter size hail. When you get that light shade of blue, that is at least quarter size, and you get a little bit of a deeper shade of blue. It could be a little larger than quarters. So that was at about a half hour ago, right there in Browning Lake to Calaveras. in that little corridor, and then it's sort of dropped down to where maybe it's more penny nickel size. And so you can see the trend on it here, sort of oscillating up and down, which is classic for a supercell. So at the moment, it may be near quarter or slightly under quarter size, but it could quickly pulse back up here. In fact, this is a good tool we use to identify the strongest storms in our area. And you can see that that's a pretty stout storm there in east-southeast Bexar County. And you also see the one at Gonzales is getting stronger. But this is our severe storm here at the moment. And as we take you over here to our radar velocity product, certainly not looking at anything that shows me rotation for a tornado. So there's just no risk of that. But this is something we want to keep an eye on, and also maybe even look for downburst wind signatures on it. Right now, it looks like more hail, but you would always want to watch it for pushes and pulses of some strong winds, especially if it suddenly weakens and collapses down in. So again, here's where we stand right now with that one storm. You see it is spreading rain into Guadalupe County and up along I-10, but the severe part of it is back into here. Get a little closer in and see if we can plot a few. There's Atkins there. You have a farm to market 1628. There, of course, is the 1604 loop 87. And then you start getting down near Calaveras, and this is where you have the potential for dime to penny nickel size hail, maybe quarter size hail. And again, this is right in here. This is your updraft that's feeding the storm. It's literally right around Elmendorf, 181 to Calaveras Lake here at this time. You see here, if I'm not seeing any questions showing up here. Let me see if I can open up maybe a chat forum or something and see if there's questions coming in. And I'm going to go over here to Facebook and scan Facebook for some comments. Jordanton, that's from Christina Cornelius. Jordanton, I'm definitely watching Jordanton for really the rest of this afternoon and into the evening down there in Atascosa County. So you're in good shape right now down there, but we're just now kind of getting things going, and we should see as we progress through the rest of the day more scattered storms. And down here, the southern part of our area into this evening for sure, we need to watch. And you also have a good amount of sunshine breaking out there in Atascosa County with the boundary right in here. So now you're heating and you're destabilizing the atmosphere further with the sun coming out. And that's just not good on a day like today. You really don't want to see the sun. Now, I will cautiously tell you that, behind the front up here at Canyon Lake to Bernie to Kerrville, you're in the watch. I wouldn't want to completely drop our guard there. But I think you're in better shape than areas further south going across Bexar County into Atascosa or Wilson or Eastern Zone. That said, I'd want to pay attention out here to see if we do pop a thunderstorm that would then have a tendency maybe for a while to be pretty aggressive and try to move east across the hill country. But definitely as you travel north behind the front, you'll start getting into a little bit less instability and more of a calmer atmosphere, if you will, in comparison to the rest of our area and down to the south. So I just want to point that out as a trend that I'm watching here. And there you can see, again, this storm out here. And again, I want to be terribly surprised if at some point here within the half hour, if we're getting a severe thunderstorm warning on that storm. So it's showing me signs that it too is in a process of organizing. You see suddenly the burst in lightning on it. That tells me that the updraft is towering and intensifying, and it's starting to become very electrical with that storm. So that's a pretty intense updraft going up. And that storm there is likely to go severe, I would say, at some point here based on conditions. And you see how it's moving here. Essentially, it'll be in a path like this. So it would be to the northeast. So from Moulton to Shiner, even Gonzales, in areas in between here, you want to pay attention to that storm. That at some point it may start to drop quite a bit of hail, and maybe even severe hail, 1 inch or larger. Then out there in Hallettsville, you have a storm that's trying to get going here. It's much weaker at this point here, so we'll watch that for you. But this, I think, is our next warning that'll be coming in Gonzales County. And then you have this one storm here, which is a supercell. And there again, you can see sort of the little inflow notch into it here. That's a rotating updraft. not rotating at ground level for a tornado, but it's right now it's in hail production mode is what that storm is doing. So it's got a nice established updraft and a hail core on it. Go back over to our hail tracker product here as we sort of bounce around some of our maps. And at the moment here, you can see that it's actually more, looks to me like it's less than a quarter-inch hail. Looks like it's more small dime, penny, nickel size at this point. And you see we're developing a hail core there south of the town of Gonzales, in Gonzales County there, just to the southwest of 183. There's some hail now out of that storm. And then again, just to do a further track here on this, on velocity data, is you always want to kind of keep an eye for anything sneaky. Not seeing anything there that's suspicious to me for tornado potential, even though sometimes it's a sort of, supercell is a scary word a lot associate with tornadoes. And starting to see out of this storm here that there might be some signs of some bursts of a little bit of wind out of that one that's now starting to get underway right in there. Also see a little bit of a semblance here when you look back at this storm here of maybe some wind gusts too. I do on occasion see some bursts of some wind, some gust, but definitely nothing that's a tight little what we call a velocity couplet that would tell me we're worried about a tornado. It's just hail and wind out of that storm there. And as we zoom right in here for you, literally, Calaveras Lake there, and of course you got the power plant. That storm structure, I'm sure the sky probably looks pretty awesome down there for those that are around Calaveras Lake looking at that. Supercells always afford you a great opportunity to get the cameras out and get some really cool skyscape pictures from the structure. But that's the little inflow notch right in there. And then that's the road. It tells me that as you work higher into the sky with the updraft, the circulation of the rotating updraft is pulling rain around it. And that's how you get that sort of that signature there of what looks like a little bit of a hook, not a tornadic hook, but that's how you get that signature. That's a rotating updraft that produces that little bit of a look. See, I'll come back over here and I'm going to hit Facebook and refresh it. And so let's see, I got a comment here. Jenna asking about San Antonio. San Antonio, we have to keep an eye out. So that first storm is not a San Antonio storm. This is the first storm of the day. And again, you see how it's developing and moving off this way. And we'll sit back and we will watch the trends back out to here to see if we get anything to develop out around Medina County that could move in, or if something were to try to pop that's not on radar right now, more into a central Bear. So at this point, that storm is not going to be a San Antonio storm. That's going to be something we watch for St. Hedwig, Lavernia, Sutherland Springs, maybe Seguin, maybe probably more south of Seguin is where we'll watch for that storm and see if it pulses back up and gets a little bit stronger. So looks like that reflectivity right in here. See how it's getting a little deeper shade of maroon to violet. Looks like the hail core might be trying to kind of reestablish itself here. We'll come back over here. I just want to take a look at strongest cores in these storms and see how they're trending. We'll put this in motion. And you can see how this one has been kind of going up and down. And the latest data packet on there shows me that it's probably maybe trying to trend back up, which would indicate the higher reflectivity for the hail potential. This one here was pulsing up, and then that last little scan there kind of dropped down a bit. So again, you see how they sort of have the tendencies to kind of go up and down. But those are the two storms of interest right now for me that I'm watching. Diana, Camacho, and Converse, hearing a lot of thunder. So yeah, you're okay there in Converse with this storm. China Grove had a big clip of some heavy rain that came through. You see there was a sort of like a little push right across there. But there's Randolph right up here to the tarmac. You can see it, the airfield. And in Converse, you can hear the thunder, but it's to your south, and it's not heading to Converse. West of Eagle Pass. All right, so that is Rita Norman asked me about west of Eagle Pass. So yeah, let's get you out here. And I definitely want to pay attention. So I'm going to stop this here. So we're looking at live. This is visible satellite. So you're looking using the sun's light to show us the cloud cover. And you can pick out features and maybe focal points of a convergence where you might be able to get thunderstorms. And so You definitely have the high terrain out here in Mexico that can always develop thunderstorms. And then you have the frontal boundary kind of coming in here. And then you notice this little zone right out in here, the scattered cumulus clouds. And you can see like up there into Valverde County, north of Del Rio. That's the atmosphere trying its best right there to get a storm going, but then it sort of falls apart. That's interesting to me too. So is that a trend up here that continues with some of these clouds here? We're in the watch up there, so we don't want to completely dismiss that possibility of getting a stronger storm. But for Eagle Pass, right now this storm is moving down the sort of the edge, if you will, of the terrain increase with the frontal boundary. So at this moment, that storm, unless it were somehow to dislodge and kick east, its tendency is to move more to the southeast. But that said, definitely want to pay attention to Maverick County in particular, and Zavala, Dimmitt, Frio, LaSalle, straight into the evening. We do have some computer models, some of our high-resolution convective models, we call CAMs, that do this evening try to develop a couple of big thunderstorms out there, with this front sort of, lingering into this area into the evening. So, and you see you're getting a lot of heating out there. There's a lot of sun that's out there in our western half of the area, so which is effectively sort of pumping up the atmosphere and the instability. So we will carefully watch out there. Eagle Pass to Crystal City, Carrizo, Springs, Asherton, Cotulla, Pearsall, right into Atascosa, McMullen, straight through the evening forecast. But right now, that storm just to your west, it's more or less hugging this little favorable zone right along, sort of an upslope component with the terrain. You see the frontal boundary right in here kind of sagging down. It's anchored on that. And any attempts to kind of move off that point, you see there's weakening. So the storm is sort of thriving and moving down in this general direction here at this point. So that would be, at this time, I don't see signs that is an imminent storm for Eagle Pass. Loretta Brown asking about Lytle. Yeah, Lytle for sure. We're going to keep an eye out for you as we bring this back over. Earlier on, you could see that we were watching right in here. See that little flare? That's along the boundary. It's sort of stalling out. Right in here is the boundary. We were watching it earlier to see if it could spark a storm or two, which we got right here. And then, now we have this one here. But you want to watch over the next, 1 to 2, 3 hours from Lytle and more Divine, like that there. Is that something that's going to, pop up and become a thunderstorm? Those are little features we want to watch. So Lytle definitely is in the window of opportunity. We want to watch that. And again, as I said, you can see we're getting areas of sunshine down here with a frontal boundary sort of parked in the areas. It's also like a little bit of a remnant outflow boundary from storms early in the day that's sinking south in here too, and kind of getting all this going here. So Lytle for sure we'll be watching. Atkins to Stockdale, Denise Robertson. Well, for sure. Let's get back in there. I mean, you're right there near, in the thick of it here with that storm. And there you can see Atkins, the heavy rain. I know you're hearing the, the thunder. You got cloud of ground lightning strikes around you. I tell you, let's go ahead and put this into motion here for you. You see here in recent scans, we're getting a little bit more lightning. So that tells me the storm is probably pulsing back up. And then as you zoom in here, let me turn off the lightning for a second there, Denise. You can see the hail core most likely is down your south here on 1604. And so there you are up here north, of 87. There might be some small hail in here, but severe risk of hail would be as you get in that maroon, but also that violet shading on that storm that's to your south. And as we put that into motion, you can kind of see how it's trending a little bit more in this direction here. So Lavernia, for example, would be a little bit more in the path of it, I would suspect, than you would be there in terms of that right there. All right. And then come over here to our hail track. Pardon me. That's our 1 hour rainfall rates. Very heavy rain. And you'll see now we're back to severe hail in here, probably even larger than quarters. Um, so just to kind of give you an idea in here, that's getting into a quarter size to $half size hail is what we have on that storm. And so for those of you that are maybe watching me there, near 87, 1604, and then east and around Lavernia, you might want to think about making sure your car or truck is undercover here at this point, just in anticipation, because the atmosphere, especially as it continues to heat, will become increasingly more supportive of hail that could be pushing ping pong to eventually golf ball size. So you always want to be proactive on that when you have a storm like this here. Let me go ahead and kind of push out. And again, you could clearly see that storm was on the uptrend. It had a pulse back up. Hail size had dropped, and now it's back to some larger hail. All right, come back over here. Let me see here. Hail in Lavernia now. Okay, yeah. So, and Jen, I'm sure it's probably pretty small hail at this point, and you're on the west side. I'm assuming of Lavernia. There is a little bit of a data delay here that occurs too, so that might actually be a little bit more east. But you see how small hail is now reaching out towards Lavernia on that storm. And then let's bring it back over here to traditional radar. And here you can see again, we'll zoom right in there for you. There you can see again, here's the main hail core, and then some small hail is sort of slinging out from it out ahead of that hail core. And it also looks like there might even be some small hail getting into around Atkins. Not the severe hail, but small variety of hail, which may brush through St. Hedwig too. So wouldn't rule out small hail in here. Larger hail is down here. That could be quarter size or a little bit larger. And then starting to get some pushes of a little hail mixed with the rain, small hail towards Lavernia. Back over to Gonzales County here as we continue our coverage on these storms. This storm here, big push of lightning as it was strengthening, and it's still a strong storm, but kind of leveled off, and not quite warning criteria. Has small hail on it there in Gonzales County, but we definitely want to watch this one here. It's definitely in a location for strengthening, and so still very suspicious of that storm in time getting a warning on it. Moulton to Shiner into Lavaca County, and near but east southeast of Gonzales, the town of Gonzales. Here you can see Yoakum. You'll probably be in the clear on that storm, as it would have a tendency, if it strengthens and maybe goes a little bit more to the east in time, would be more Shiner to Moulton. They're along 90. So that's the other storm we're watching there. That's a pretty big storm, not quite severe. Up around LaGrange, you see these are also severe storms as you work out of our area, heading east, northeast. So in our area closer to Bexar County, you have that one storm there with at least quarter size hail on it. Not a San Antonio storm. We'll be keeping an eye on trends out here to the west, which are fairly quiet. And the storm, which is a supercell out there west of Eagle Pass, right now, that storm does not show me any signs of heading to Eagle Pass at this time here. So we'll see if it can dislodge, if it attempts to dislodge and move and hold together. May not, but we'll watch that and see if it can. But it has had a tendency thus far to kind of move in that general direction. And any attempt to move off it, you see there has been some weakening. But it's been maintaining itself as it's been moving down this corridor here with its updraft right there. And it definitely has severe hail on it there in Mexico on that storm. And then here again, visible satellite with radar. So we have now entered the window where we watch the trends. And so you see there's a large area in our region that's pretty quiet right in here. And so we just have to watch now really for the next 5 hours. It's the best answer we have for you is to watch the trends with the severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect. a lingering boundary into the area and some heating and destabilization that's underway. You just have to really kind of pay attention to things. Down here to the south and to the east, especially through this evening into overnight, there will be a risk of big thunderstorms for you here. So essentially where we are now is kind of have your little boundary right in here. And that is the initiation point, forcing the atmosphere to develop these thunderstorms. And so we have now gotten the show underway, and now we just watch it for the rest of this afternoon and into this evening here. I will tell you, I do like seeing that while we've had some sun, we're still mostly cloudy. That is helpful if we can keep a lid on the amount of sun that we do see. That is certainly something that's good to try to get some layers of protection from thunderstorms. Is if you can hold back the sun and the heating, that does go a long way to help you out. Doesn't mean we're out of the woods by any stretch, but and then as you work further up north, you see this deck of stratus clouds up here. That becomes increasingly difficult up there to think about getting big severe storms. The air is a little bit more stable up here in that environment. So the watch is all our hill country counties, and then south into Laredo through 8 o'clock this evening here, and we will sit back and we will continue to watch these storms for you right into News 4 this evening at 5, 6 o'clock, and into the evening hours as well. Some of you will not see thunderstorms. Do want to point that out. Some of you will miss out entirely on this round, and that'll be good. But we have more opportunities this weekend. In fact, let's go ahead and see if I can, first of all, here, let me show you some of the outlooks. This is our outlook today for severe weather from the Storm Prediction Center. We are in the level 3 out of 5 from this. I don't issue this. This is the Storm Prediction Center. Yesterday was a slight risk, and they bumped it up. And it kind of implies a little bit of a better chance of getting severe weather and seeing a storm when you're in that enhanced category. Also, the hazard of getting large hail, golf ball size or larger, is elevated. And so that also contributed to the enhanced outlook there too. As we work through the rest of the day and we're getting heating, you really have to pay attention to that possibility. And then the wind, the damaging wind hazard, 60 miles an hour, is right behind its secondary hazard. So that's today. And I do want to point out, this is Saturday. Whoop, let me switch. Pardon me here. Let me switch this over. That's Saturday, and the Storm Prediction Center increased our marginal to a slight level 2 out of 5, a severe risk tomorrow. And so that's from about 7 o'clock in the morning through the day. And so that's another case tomorrow where we do have a decent scattering of showers and storms into the area. Cannot rule out a storm or two that's in the mix that has quarter-size hail or a little bit larger, and some strong wind gusts. So we'll be watching that carefully through the day tomorrow into very early on Sunday. And then while I'm on this map, here's the day 3 severe weather outlook. And it still has us in the part of our area in a marginal level 1 out of 5. And that's mainly for the early part of the day on Sunday, where we may get quite a bit of rain and thunderstorms to move through early in the day with some wind gusts. And maybe hail Sunday morning early. But that's Saturday's severe weather outlook right there. And let me see, I'll load this up here. This is our Futurecast radar product. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into a build mode here. And let me first of all, I'm going to start with, I'm going to show you 2 different computer models for those of you that are with me here. This is the HER computer model that I'm showing you, which really did a good job today showing the initiation of the storms in Bexar County, southern Bexar County, and our eastern zone. So it's doing a good job thus far. And you'll see, and we'll sit back and we'll see, but it's attempting to pop a few strong to severe storms out west. You see our eastern zone. All right, so that's at 5 o'clock. And then 6, 7, 8. Bear would miss that. All right. So those storms would have a tendency to focus southern half of the area with good instability. And then you see maybe another storm or two that comes in, and then you get more garden variety thunderstorms with maybe really small hail through the night into 7 o'clock in the morning. And then those storms you see there, those would be capable of small to maybe quarter size into Saturday. So that's the HER computer model, right? So that's one. Let me go ahead. I'm going to switch our model sources over here. I'm going to show you our in-house computer model, which I have not looked at yet since I started this Facebook Live. So we're going to look at it together for the very first time together and see how it's handling things. And you always kind of want to look at these various models to see. They all show a little something different in our area, but if you can capture a trend. So this is at 3 o'clock. All right, so it doesn't really have the storm in Eastern Bear very well, so it's already starting off a little sluggish there. Doesn't really have the storm out there west of Eagle Pass. And in this case here, not much in Bear County. And so through this evening. So that is the trend off two computer models, is that's more the southern half of the area after the storm that was in Bear here recently. And then you go into the morning on Saturday. And it's actually not developing much on Saturday. So that's a real big, we'll see on that, because there are a lot of other computer models that do have showers and storms in our area on Saturday. I tend to lean away from that. I still like about a 50-60% rain chance Saturday. And then you go into Sunday. Now I do like this. Saturday night, our in-house computer model is picking up on a big cluster of storms coming in. They would have wind gusts potential 40 to maybe near 60, and maybe some hail in there. In the middle of the night like that, it's usually a little bit more difficult, right, to get severe weather, but that would be just enough that you kind of want to watch as they're coming in. Definitely looks like a period of Saturday night and the Sunday morning is a stormy night. And then I do agree with this trend. I think there will be rain into the early hours of our day on Sunday. But then later in the afternoon, actually may turn out to be a pretty decent day into the evening. So I would not cancel afternoon and evening plans on Sunday, but I would expect that we would start the day with some pretty good rain in a chunk of the area on Sunday. But I will tell you right now, my preferred model of those two is the HER model. I don't think our in-house computer model really is doing a very good job at this point. So, this I think is a better way to go and a more realistic approach. And if this plays out, even though we have a watch in Canyon Lake, New Braunfels to Bernie, back through Comfort and Kerrville, you would not see very much, as the tendency would be to focus near the frontal boundary, which is now sort of cutting across the central and eventually may drift a little bit more into the southern part of the area. And that means that behind it, a little less on the lift and maybe a little bit more stability in the atmosphere too, which is not good for the thunderstorms. So there may be a tendency, as you see right there, I mean, those are storms with warnings on, especially that one at Cotulla, Carrizo Springs and Crystal City, Brackettville, Eagle Pass, out there, they would have potential for some large hail. Right there through 9 o'clock, those are big hailers that you see there. But again, that's south of Bear County. All right. So that's a trend that's worth watching there for the remainder of the day today. But again, here's the watch that's in effect. That is until 8 o'clock. It does include every single county in our viewing area into the Houston area. And at this time, we have this one supercell storm, which went through a little bit of, it looks like it's going through a cycling phase right now. And what I mean by that is that you see how it started to look ragged. And then now, seeing again a little bit more of a hail core on it near Lavernia, where you might be getting into quarter-size hail. And what's also interesting to note here on the reflectivity is you see this little sort of V shape right here. So that tells me that as the updraft is towering up right here, the upper level winds are hitting the updraft and it's steering the rain here and over here, and it leaves a little bit of a rain shadow right in here. And that's classic textbook for a supercell storm that is actually in a strengthening phase. So some may Some of you out there that are plugged into storm chasing may hear the Flying Eagle radar signature here. Then, so a little bit of an attempt there at a Flying Eagle. So if that trend continues on that, that'll be a big potent storm, out into our eastern zone counties here. If it pulses back up, it did weaken. The warning was dropped on it, and now it looks like it might be trying to get back kind of into a strengthening organizing phase. And I suspect we're going to get another warning on it because you can see right there in Lavernia, that's big hail coming in on our hail tracker. That's getting around ping pong ball size. So we got quarter to about ping pong ball size hail on it. Let me check in with the weather service here. And as I monitor their feed here, I'm sure they're probably they might very well issue a warning on that. So right now, let's keep an eye on that and see if we get one in Wilson County that would cover a little bit of Guadalupe. But that is, it weakened. They dropped the warning on it in Bear. And that's on the upswing. So that's probably going to have to get a fresh warning on it. And the storm has gone through a cycling phase here on it, getting better organized. The updraft kind of got unraveled a little bit for whatever reason. Supercells sometimes are notorious for their cycling. You think it's done, and then it's not. And this to me looks like it's kind of getting its feet back underneath it. The hail core is reestablishing. You see a little bit of this V-notch signature here, which tells me that the storm is getting some better ventilation and the updraft is towering more on that storm. And what I'll do is let me see if I can switch over here. And this is really a good product to kind of tell me the trends on the storms. And let's put that in motion there. And you can see how it's re-intensified over Lavernia. And then the storms in Gonzales are sort of holding. Those are strong storms. They're not quite as severe yet. But that definitely looks severe. And I suspect that the Weather Service will be issuing a warning on that here shortly. And then that would be a severe storm out there in New Mexico. West of Eagle Pass, we'll keep an eye on it there for you. But right now, definitely, I would suspect you're getting quarter to maybe ping pong ball size hail on that storm. And also, while we're at it, just show you the rainfall rates in it too. Because if you're in it, it's coming down in buckets. Let me hit that right there, and you can see rainfall rates of about 2 to 2.5 inches per hour in that storm coming through Lavernia. So torrential rainfall, and there's the warning. All right, so see here on it. They've got it for until 4 o'clock, and 60-mile-an-hour winds and $50 size hail potential on it, which stands to reason. I do see a little bit of a push there, some wind gusts being picked up on it here. See, there's a sort of brighter shades of some red that you see there. In fact, also too, if you look closely, see this little push right here. This is wind that's sort of moving towards the radar, and then this is outbound wind away from the radar, which is up north. And that's a little bit of a divergent pattern. It sort of indicates maybe some downburst wind. So when the wind drops out of the storm, hits the ground, some of it will fan out towards the radar, and then it moves away from the radar on the other side. And those are signatures we look for downburst or microburst. But seeing a bit of a downburst wind signature on that storm, and that's, we have the warning for 60-mile-an-hour winds. And so I won't be surprised you're getting strong winds there in Lavernia. And the hail, it's for $50 size, but it looks like there's a pocket in there that could be, ping pong ball getting closer to golf ball size. Let me see, let me go over to here, because I know a few of you are on here in Lavernia. If anyone's commenting, anyone that right now, I'm looking here at our comments. Seguin, you're going to be south of that storm in Seguin. It's Annie Robinson, or not Annie, but that's Nicole Herrera asking about it. But that storm there near Lavernia, It's got a big hail core on it. So again, make sure the cars, trucks are under cover. You're going to get large damaging hail there in Livonia from that storm, especially if that hail core continues to trend up. All right. And that particular storm, it's moving out and away from Bexar County. In Seguin, you'll get clipped with maybe a little bit of rain. But that particular storm, it's moving in this direction here. So that is not a Seguin storm. That'll be to your south. But again, possibility large damaging hail on this storm here at this time, Wilson into southern Guadalupe County. All right, we're going to go ahead and wrap this coverage up for now. We'll be doing some more coverage here for you as I got to knock out some other things and kind of prepare here for News 4 at 5 o'clock there. But that's where things stand here at this point. Severe thunderstorm watch until 8 o'clock. Watching that storm. You see this activity in Medina County near Hondo. These are little showers, but I want to watch them. They're west of Bexar County. Do they pop into a thunderstorm? So I'm going to be watching that for you here from the 4-zone weather center. And then we have the storms in our eastern zone. That's worth watching. That could be getting a warning in Lavaca County here in the next half hour. Looks like it's trying to become a supercell. And we'll keep an eye out here to the west. Thank you very much for joining me here. We'll have more updates for you here from News 4.